for our guests, we did have Bill describe, but from your perspective, what is neurofeedback?
So neurofeedback is simply the science of listening to the brain's electrical system.
Okay.
It's EEG,
Okay.
electroencephalograph, and that's the techniques that we've used since the 1950s to listen to the brain's activity.
Okay.
And actually, the first one was 1875, the first time we listened to somebody's electrical activity.
Learn something new every day on this show, people. Did not know that.
1875. So, but it's starting in the so it really has now to do much more with computer speed.
Okay.
Being able to hear the rhythms in the brain's electrical system, filter them out, filter out noise from blood flow and things like that, and get the specific rhythm. Then that rhythm in the system we use is presented to the client in a three-dimensional image. It's a fractal image that's constantly moving and represents the three-dimensionality of the brain's electrical system.
Okay.
In a way that the brain interprets.
Okay.
Sees the speed and rhythm in that rotating picture and starts to emulate that speed and rhythm, follows it, and as soon as it starts to follow that rhythm, which when we start the program up, it usually starts within 15 to 30 seconds, moving in that direction.
Okay.
We reward it with sound.
Okay.
And so it's this constant process of moving the brain in its rhythms in the direction that we want the brain's electrical system to move, right?
Okay. Now, I know that it is used for PTSD. It's helping with PTSD now, but I also know that PTSD is still a little bit of a taboo subject for people to talk about. They like to throw the acronym around, but they don't want to really talk about it. But when they started with this neurofeedback, I mean, like you hear the stories. You had the hysteria phase. You've had all these phases of different treatments and stuff. Originally, was it a specific symptom that it was created to help treat?
No, the first human experiments were done in 1959 at University of Chicago, just to show that humans could control their alpha rhythm.
Okay.
With just a red bell coming on when you were producing alpha.
Okay.
And it going off when you were not producing it. So along that lines at the University of Chicago and the Menninger Clinic at that time was influenced by a lot of humanistic psychologists who experiencing consciousness was the most prevalent thing. One of those prevalent doctors and his wife went over to India to listen to the brain states of deep state meditators.
Okay.
So this is kind of the history of what we know about for addiction treatment. These deep state meditators learn how to produce where they're not affected by anything. They're just in a perfect happy state of being all the time, right? Nothing, no anxiety, no depression.
That's awesome.
Right? And it's just this, so they practice it and they produce this rhythm that's called crossover where so let me kind of explain rhythms. I can't really get this whole deal.
Get some popcorn. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Can't really get this unless you kind of understand the relationship of the electrical system in the brain to behaviors, thoughts, emotions, right?
Okay.
So our brain is our computer central, right? So sometimes parts of the brain get under aroused genetically by damage, by 1,000 different things going on. Parts of the brain get under aroused. In most under arousal situations, it's the left hemisphere that's under aroused.
Okay.
And the left hemisphere controls areas of learning and memory, short-term memory, emotional regulation, impulse control, all symptoms that we associate with ADHD. and other.
You'll notice how he was pointing exactly where in the brain those parts are, like without even thinking about it. I love this.
Right.
Okay.
So when the left hemisphere is under-aroused, and sometimes not the left hemisphere can be okay, but with right hemisphere will get over-aroused, and those are the symptoms of anxiety, depression, OCD, autism, and Asperger's when it's prefrontal, prefrontal right. And so it's about over and under arousal.
Okay.
And then there's other symptoms that are brain EEG, where the EEG is unstable.
Okay.
That produce symptoms of bipolar disorder is probably the most most well-known instability in the brain. But you get into, I noticed on your show with Bill, you were talking about the impact of hormonal changes on personality, on health, on mental wellness,
in
right?
that world right now. Yes, sir.
And so under the instability list is PMS and menopause, right? Because what's going on is the brain is experiencing a change in hormonal input, doesn't know how to respond to it. So we train the brain to respond to any changes, whether it's hormonal or toxic, right? And to help it to restore to its best brain function, its best rhythm.